This thing going here. Brian Houston here with Coach Randy McFarlin following a rather large win over the Marshall Mavericks. Coach McFarlin, congratulations first of all on the win. You put up 60 points in a 60-14 win over Marshall. Were you expecting it to be, I don't want to say that easy, but were you expecting it to be that easy?
Well, you never expect it to be that easy. You always plan for the toughest ball game possible. We knew that they were struggling a little, but still we thought they had some good athletes and they could put it together. And fortunately, they did not put it together that night. So it's great for a football team to have one like that at one or two times during the season. Let you play a lot of kids and let you recover a little bit. So it's a great win for us.
And we were talking about it before we started the interview. You know, you could get out there and, wallow around with a team like that and play down to the level of the competition, and your guys did not do that.
Right. The mark of good football teams is they go out and take care of business against all teams. And if the team is not up to par with you, you still make the plays, execute, put the points on the board, and come away with a big win. That's very important. We could have gone out there and fumbled the ball around, let them be in the ball game, and won a tight one. But, I think that's a mark of our football team to go out and do what they did.
And on top of that, it's really the first real road trip your team's had this year, so they responded really well to getting out there and playing on the road, too.
Right. It was a long road trip, and like I say, we have one tonight also, and we have our two long road trips together. After Carthage, our road trips are very minimum now.
And that's a good thing.
It is a good thing to play close to home, you bet.
All right, talking specifically about some guys that played the other night. Nate Brooks had an interception the other night. He continues to play well in the secondary.
Nate is a little sophomore. I think we talked about him before. He has a swagger on the field. Just a very confident kid that's playing great and made a diving catch on the first play of the game, which started the onslaught. I mean, it was a great play from him, and he just lived up to all expectation as a corner.
And another kid that we have not seen a lot of, but he made an impact both on defense and a little bit running the football. And I realize in a game like this he gets into a ball game, but Dominique Holly played a pretty good football game.
Yeah, our Dominique is a middle linebacker, and basically we're too deep on the defensive side, most all positions, and are playing too deep. Dominique has played some, but yeah, a very talented young man. As a running back and a linebacker, and he's going to be a great asset to us.
And I have to talk to you about Jake Parker and the punt returns. He's done a great job on returns this year.
Jake has just got that little bit of streak in him that makes him a great football player, and he's willing to take some chances on the punt returns, and very elusive young man. There again, he's not big, not strong, but very elusive and a great football player.
And he's really done a good job with all the attention being paid to Dylan Cantrell in the secondary. Guys double covering him, trying to keep him from getting the ball. Jake Parker's kind of been the go-to guy receiving wise.
Well, Jake is a difference maker. Even in the spring, as recruiters were coming by, they picked Jake out and said, "Who's that young man?" Didn't pass what we call the vision test at first, but when recruiters start seeing him play, they say that young man's going to be an impact somewhere one of these days.
All right, and then we get to the usual suspects. Patrick Mahomes had another terrific night the other night, 5 touchdown passes. I have to ask you about the pass right at the end of the half. Was that called, or did he do that?
Well, at that point, we're watching the clock and said, all right, let's run the ball here. And it was a third down play. Let's run the ball, let the clock run out. We won't have to punt the ball. And we ran. The clock was running, and it was 4th down, and we could run one more play. And so we said, yeah, let's take a shot. And we threw it up, and he caught it. So it's a great situation to be in there.
And, of course, Cantrell making another terrific catch. I mean, again, people are really, really working to try to keep the ball out of his hands, and he continues to make at least one, wow, did you see that kind of catch every game?
Yeah, they had all the receivers basically doubled all night. They played a press man and had some deep safeties back behind them, which allowed us to run the ball. But, yeah, Dylan, once he got off the line and down the field, his height, his arms, his speed, he goes up and makes big catches.
And Coleman Patterson caught a couple of touchdowns.
Coleman had a beautiful catch over the shoulder, almost you couldn't tell, maybe a one-handed catch on a long ball. Like I say, our receiver core is the best we've had in a while.
Well, and obviously when you put up 461 yards and you score 60 points, your offensive line's playing well.
Right. I give them a little credit. I say Marshall was very weak in the defensive front, but there again, they executed the blocks. Running backs ran the ball well, so we put up those kind of numbers.
And your defense continues to play well. I mean, again, when you look at what happened last year and you see this team give up only 207 yards to Marshall the other night, it's like night and day difference.
Oh, yes. I mean, the first group played extremely well prepared, knows what to expect, does what we asked them to do. And we gave up a little bit there early, but then made some adjustments, stopped it. And then, our third groups come in, and they played hard. And Marshall scored twice on basically our third team. But, hey, those kids had fun playing and got after it also.
All right, we're going to take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll talk about tonight's ball game against Carthage. This is the Coach Randy McFarlin Show on 99.3 Talk FM. Back with Coach Randy McFarlin. Tonight you take on what may be the best team you've seen this year in the Carthage Bulldogs. They're 3-1, and they dominated Nacogdoches last week, 44-21. What can you tell us about them?
Very big, very physical football team. I compare them to a Sulphur Springs team, except they're a little bit different offensive philosophy. They're going to try to run the ball, pound it a little bit more. Big linemen, good running backs, good receivers, very well-balanced football team. They're very physical. That's what you think about the Carthage Bulldogs, a very physical football team.
And a team that has a lot of tradition, a team that's won 3 state championships in a row. I realize that's a couple of years removed, but these guys know how to win football games.
Oh, football is important in Carthage, Texas. Yeah, state championships. Coach Surratt does a tremendous job in coaching these kids to have them ready every week. Program very well established, top 3A program in the state. Just a very, very, very good football team.
What are the matchups that concern you the most right now?
Well, their receivers on our corners. I think they have maybe the best receivers we faced. Our defensive line has to play well, play some good leverage up front because they're big. Offensive line is the largest we faced. Then you flip that around. Their defensive line, they are huge. They had a defensive tackle moved in, and man, he must be 300 and something pounds. He's a big rascal, takes up 2 or 3 gaps in there. Our offensive line is going to be big time challenged in our run game and our passing game.
Yeah, I'm assuming this kid you're talking about is Isaiah Golden, and he's one of the top players, recruits in the state this year. So how do you deal with a guy like that?
Well, that's what I asked my offensive staff yesterday. How do we block him? Maybe try to find where he's at and run the other way, and that's part of the game plan. And then not try to attack him up top, double team him when you can, and we'll have to cut him sometime just to slow him down.
When you throw the ball as much as you do, you got to deal with trying to keep him off your quarterback as well. So I guess this is about getting it out of his hands as quick as possible.
Right. A lot of our passing games are very up-tempo, and in some of our schemes, you don't have to have a lot of protection to get the ball off. And the hardest thing in the game to do is rush a passer, come back, do it again. And then we throw the screens, quick screens out there, make the defensive line run to the screens. So, seriously, you get them a little tired, a little winded, and it slows them down. And then hopefully after that they don't become a big factor in the game.
And they kind of come into a ball game the same way you did. They had a big lead, a 37-0 lead over Nacogdoches at halftime, and basically pulled their people in the second half. So they come in full of vinegar and confidence and rested as well. They weren't really tested.
Yeah, it's good to rest kids. I mean, it is. It's a long season, and at this point, going into the 5th week, it's just a blur. It is long, and the kids need a little break, a little mental break, a little physical break. We're glad after tonight that we get an open week to kind of catch your breath and then come back with district. But, yeah, much like ourselves, they had a little easy ball game and had some fun with it and got some kids out.
You guys healthy?
We are. We're just a typical bumps and bruises this time of year. Of all people who got injured last night was our kicker. Rolled an ankle on one of the kick returns, and that's why Patterson was in kicking. And we had a defensive end that has a little ankle problem, but I think he'll be back.
All right. And are you feeling good about things? I mean, 4-0, you got to be ecstatic about it. Were you expecting it to be this way when you started?
That was our goal, is to be here. We'd like to go 10-0, of course, and so was it expected? Yes, but you always have bumps in the road. It's been a real smooth start. Very pleased with where we're at. We still can improve. We still have a lot of things we can get better on, and we'll continue to do that. It's still a great group of kids. They still have that goal in mind, and they're working each day toward that, and it's been very rewarding.
It's got to be fun in practice right now. Like I said, again, after going through kind of what you went through last year defensively and giving up a lot of points and the frustrations of that, it's got to be a lot of fun out there right now.
It is. Practice is still practice, but you got to, each week is a whole cycle you start over. You got to get your kids down off of the wind, regroup on Monday, and then start back again to be ready to play Friday. And it's just a weekly cycle you go through all the time. And, practice is practice, but we still try to focus the kids on it. This should be an easy week to get them motivated and get after it.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a great football game, Coach. We appreciate it. Best of luck to you tonight against Carthage.
All right, thank you guys very much.
Coach Randy McFarlin getting ready to play White House versus Carthage tonight. We'll be back with more of the pregame show on 99.3 Talk FM.